Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast. Okay, so I realized that I don't know what I'm doing.
Uh-oh.
Well,
it's not the first time.
You don't know what I'm doing.
Well, and that's where I was going to go with that. I don't know what he is doing.
Yeah, I beat you to it this time, though.
Yeah, you did. This is the world's favorite place to go for fun, informative, or uninformative car talk. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, special feature on how much the tech in your car costs you time and money.
Oh, no.
Later, Jeff has the racing calendar. Mars has This Week in Auto History, and I'll get you caught up on the stories making headlines. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. We always need more Jeff Zekin. Our chief engineer, Sleepy David Ainsley.
Sleepy Dave.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us. So, Mr. Mars, the question is that Mr. Mars told me one thing, but he's telling me something else.
No, I've double checked, and so we have an option here.
Uh-huh.
So we
Well, she's here. That's
what I was going to say. We could go ahead and do her, and then
Could you put it another way?
Let's
can
talk
we
to
go
her.
ahead and interview our next guest?
Sure.
Divya.
She heard that.
I know, and I hope that you have a yeah, she does have a smile on her face. So, Mr. Mars told me that we were going to have you as our guest at 11 a.m. Central Time. Well, it's not 11 a.m. It's 10:30 a.m. Central Time, and you're on the East Coast, are you not?
Yes. So it's 11:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
So
Technically, he's
I
right.
guess Michael is on time for me.
Either that or he's completely wrong, and we're going to go with that.
Theoretically.
Theoretically.
Oh, now he's showing me his calendar.
No, I don't want to. Don't look at that. Don't look at that calendar.
I know, I burned my eyes.
I know that. Divya, how are you? Lending Tree, Insurance Site Value, Penguin. We love to have you on. And
Thanks for having me.
piqued my interest when Mars said, insuring and operating a Tesla Model Y is at least $1,000 more expensive on average than a gasoline-powered car of similar size.
Wow.
And you're using the RAV4 XLE for comparison.
Yes.
And did we know this? Did we kind of know this? Didn't want to pay any attention to it, or
Didn't care.
Well, you know, when you go into the electric car buying process, especially if you go into a Tesla showroom and they do the sales pitch, one of the things they tell you is, hey, it's going to cost you a lot less in terms of fueling charges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually true. It's 142% cheaper to fuel an EV, a Tesla Model Y, when compared to a Toyota RAV4.
And when you're talking about fueling a Tesla all-electric, you're talking about using electricity. That's that's
using
the fuel.
electricity.
Yeah.
And, like charging the battery to run
Correct.
how many of your miles you need it to run. And obviously, gas prices are always going to be more than electricity prices, even if you're charging your EV at a public, I was going to say pump, but that's not
Station,
quite what
yeah.
it is. It's
Pump
station.
works. No, we got it, yeah.
But the reason why Teslas and generally EVs remain that much more expensive is just insurance costs. And that tends to be the big elephant in the room that, when people are making these buying decisions, they're not thinking about. Except right now they are, because everyone's insurance costs are going up. And before you buy an EV, people are starting to ask the question, how much more is it going to cost me in terms of insurance? And, I saw that report that Tesla sales are going down. And a part of me started wondering if insurance might be behind this.
Well, not totally, I would imagine,
Not
because
totally, but it might be one factor. I would
because let's face it, I mean, Teslas, generally speaking, are more expensive than a gasoline-powered car that has the same attributes, 4 doors, it gets down the road, and that sort of thing. But I can imagine that the insurance would be more on a Tesla because it costs more to buy it.
Yeah, it does. And, but then we looked at other EVs, and Teslas in general are 31% more expensive than brand EVs. So then we started wondering why. And, I started thinking back about our previous conversations about this. And, what you said, there is really no other aftermarket parts for Teslas. You have to use OEM parts or Tesla parts. You can't take a Tesla into a regular body shop. They're probably not going to repair it for you. You have to go to a Tesla certified body shop, and all of this just adds up to the costs. And really, just a small ding on a Tesla, it becomes a very expensive repair. You know, we did the math, and I think on average, Tesla costs like $950 to repair compared to less than $500 for a gas car. I'm just talking an average. So, you know, when it can add up. If you crash your Tesla and the battery gets dinged, that's like a $20,000 repair easy.
Yeah.
And more often than not, the insurance company is just going to total the car because they don't see value in dropping 20 grand to replace a battery, for example.
Well, it is a plastic car. And I use the Corvette as an example. I remember when I was working at a Chevrolet dealership, the rate to repair a Corvette was twice as expensive as it was the repairing a metal car. And I would imagine the same holds true for the Tesla. It's a plastic car, and it takes different technology, different pieces of equipment to repair it, much less having to buy OEM replacement parts if that's what you need.
Yeah.
If you need to replace the whole fender, well, it's going to cost you because you got to buy it from the manufacturer, as opposed to you own a metal car, you want OEM, or do you want Chinese replacement? Well, if I got a car with 200,000 miles on it and I'm going to replace the fender, just give me the Chinese knockoff. I don't care whether the gaps are right on it or if it fits perfect. It doesn't make any difference.
Nope, just got to get to work in it.
Yeah.
But you look at the Cybertruck we were talking about earlier. Can you imagine what a fender for that would cost?
That's a stainless steel truck.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, I find it interesting that they went the same route as DeLorean did with his car, and they do the stainless steel thing. And I'm not sure, is there an advantage, or is it just the look and the appeal of stainless steel? I don't know, just saying.
I mean, I'm the insurance person, so I can't speak much to the look and appeal of a car. My primary concern is it going to cost me a lot of money for insurance? And in reality, you know, I was talking to some colleagues who are in the insurance space, and they were telling me that for an insurance company, the risk rating for a Tesla is just below a performance vehicle. So it's really interesting you brought up the comparison with the Corvette or the DeLorean, because they were technically, and they still are, performance vehicles. So we did a comparison with a Toyota RAV4, which, you know, in my mind, because the Tesla Model Y is kind of like a family car. It was promoted that way when a lot of people bought it, but they're still being insured like a performance vehicle. And I've ridden in a Model Y with my friend, and I can see why their insurance rates are so high, because I feel like people behind the wheel rely too much on the self-driving capabilities and driving assist, that they're taking unnecessary risks behind the wheel. They're not really checking both sides before they turn because they say the car turns for them. I've seen a couple of people asleep behind the wheels of their Tesla. So, you know, there is a factor of the car being more expensive to repair, it just being insanely powerful, and people taking unnecessary risks behind the wheel. And all of this is combining to make insurance for Teslas really expensive. And, you know, I think as more people get aware of it, they may start thinking about whether it's worth it.
What kind of car do you drive?
A Honda.
A Honda. What kind of a Honda? You got
a CRV, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because a pilot friend of mine is going to go out and buy a car today. And I said, well, what do you want? He says, well, my wife wants the Honda CRV. And I said, well, if your wife wants it,
that's going to be the best car you can buy.
That's the car you could ever buy, and she'll love you forever for doing it. And he says, well, what do you think about the Honda CRV? I said, well, I don't get very many Hondas to drive, but my experience from years ago, we had a Honda, absolutely loved it, but it was expensive to maintain. If you're going to play by the rule book and get the timing belt changed and do the oil changes and all the services, it can be expensive, but it'll last you forever and ever.
Well, that's how you get 200,000-300,000 miles out of it.
Yeah.
And that's when we gave ours to the granddaughter, 220-something thousand miles on it, and say, okay, here's your college car.
But to Divya's point, I think that most people, when they get into the mindset of I'm going to buy me a new car. They don't really consider insurance. Hey, whatever it is, that's what it is, and I guess I'll have to buy it.
Well, I can't call my insurance agent until he gets to work on Monday. I'm going to buy my car today.
Yeah, well, they've got ways around that too. So you're right, Divya. I think that it's something that everybody, especially now in today's environment with the price of cars as high as they are, that's something if you're going to go buy any kind of car, whether it's new or used, really need to check on the insurance. Now, for me in the Corvette, I don't put enough miles on it to buy regular standard insurance. So I get the lowest rate I possibly can get. And, I put less than 3,000 miles a year on the car. So I'm rewarded with that and the fact that I'm old.
Well, here's the thing, right? When you're buying
That's a fact.
performance vehicle like a Corvette or any of those fancy cars, an Alfa Romeo, you're probably not going to make that your main car for commuting.
Right.
This is going to be your fun driving vehicle. But a lot of people who are buying Teslas right now, they're using that as their main commuting car. And given that Teslas also have such a decent range, you're probably going to be driving more. And the more time you're on the road, the more chances of you getting into accidents. Heck, my Uber Eats delivery driver is now driving a Model Y. And, I'm just thinking about the number of miles he's putting on that car. It probably makes a lot of sense for him because, it's an electric. He has to do a lot of pickups and drops, and he doesn't need to go refuel it every time. But given the number of miles this person has to drive, he's definitely putting himself at more risk of getting into a crash.
Well, my daughter just bought a Model 3, brand new, and I have yet to ask her, and I don't want to, and not that she would be totally honest with me.
Probably listening.
But I doubt it. But I will say that, that knowing what you're telling me here, she's paying a premium to drive that brand new Model 3.
And so then the question we should be asking ourselves when we're making these purchasing decisions is, are the savings we're getting out of the gas aspect worth it when we factor in the insurance?
And so I guess the bottom line is if you're going to buy a car, really any kind of a car, but in our case that we're talking about Teslas and comparing them to RAV4s, do the comparison with the insurance as well.
Yeah, that's a very important part of the puzzle.
So what do you do? Do you call your insurance agent and say what?
You just call them up and say, hey, so I'm thinking about buying this car. How much will it cost me? And your insurance agent will know your driver profile because you've been working with them. So they'll say, yeah, for you, with your driving profile, this is how much you're going to get. They'll probably, if you work with an independent agent, they're probably going to give you a quote for 2 or 3 companies. If you're a veteran, then, you have the amazing ability to get insurance from USAA, and they're often some of the cheapest insurers for all kinds of cars. So you might get a good deal from them. But the reality is you need to shop around for insurance before you make any decisions to buy a bigger car, an EV, a Cybertruck, whatever vehicle catches your fancy. You need to do your homework, especially if you plan to use it as your primary vehicle.
Good advice.
Yeah. Now, Don mentioned his daughter in Colorado. Would her insurance, obviously, age is a big factor. The new car is a big factor. Is it regional as well, California versus Colorado versus East Coast? I mean, or does it depend on the independent agent?
No, so your premiums are definitely going to vary by state. For example, if you live in Michigan, hey, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for insurance. And, our analysis, we also found that people who live in Connecticut have to pay a really high premium for Model Ys. If you look at our study, we actually rank the states, so you can see the cheapest and the most expensive. I believe Oregon is the only state where it's more expensive to operate a Toyota RAV4, and that's an outlier. In every other state, it's actually more expensive to operate a Model Y just because of insurance costs.
So where can we find this information that you've so diligently dug up and put together for us?
Absolutely. So you're more than welcome to read our report, and you can view it at www.com/Tesla-Toyota-study. And in it, we actually explain our findings and how we went about finding all of this information. And hopefully, this will help you if you're planning to buy a Tesla in the future, any EV in the future. And it's not to discourage you, but just to give you a little more insight into the costs of ownership.
Absolutely. Divya, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday and sitting still and listening to all this drivel that we've got to put together in a show. So thank you again. It's great to talk to you. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye, Divya.
Thank you. And your show is not drivel. I absolutely enjoy it.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you very much. All right, we'll talk to you again soon. Hey, the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts from your favorite podcast provider. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipe means when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the first Lupe Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here is the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupe Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupe Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupe Tortilla Katie's another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupe's. It's located on 99 the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station. Located just around the corner from Kyle Field, it's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Going to Louisiana? The Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont is on I-10, so you can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants has the best Tex-Mex anywhere, and you're invited anytime. Your car is a direct reflection of you, so don't be satisfied with color fade or a dingy, dull appearance. Get rid of those terrible automated car wash scratches. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your Save the Paint company. John Gray and his team of detailing experts can help your cars finish without a full repaint. Searching for the real experts in window tint or windshield protection? Gulf Coast Auto Shield. Dash cams, radar detectors, Gulf Coast Auto Shield. Got a new car? Get that thing protected as soon as you take delivery. If you don't know which of the multitude of protection products to go with, John Gray will give you an honest opinion and won't sell you something you don't need or can't afford. John will help you understand the many options and pricing right on the spot. He's your guy to have your ride looking its best and protected too. See the state-of-the-art shop yourself. Free tours anytime. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is easy to get to, located just south of the Southwest Freeway on the Sam Houston Parkway. Gulf Coast Auto Shield, full-service luxury car care today, and online at gcautoshield.com.
You're on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Thank you very much for joining us on this Saturday for our live program. Airs every Saturday from 10 until noon live. Time now for the racing calendar, sponsored by Texas Muscle Car Club Challenge.
Thank you, Texas Muscle Car Challenge. NHRA is off of this week. They will be back on September 1st, which is next week. They're going to be at
What's the big go?
It's the Indianapolis, yes, the big go. NASCAR is at Daytona International Speedway today. It's going to be on NBC.
The Nobody Cares television
That's it.
network.
And it's going to be on tonight, 7:30 p.m. Tickets are still available, Mike, if you want to take your granddaughters. IMSA is off until the 25th. Indy is off also. And the big one we're talking about, Mike, is the Formula One, the Heineken Dutch Grand
Ooh,
Prix.
hey, beers to everybody.
Yeah, and you know what? The trophy is actually a wooden shoe
stein.
that you can pour beer in.
It is not.
It's a wooden shoe, yeah.
Is it really?
And you walk down the street. No, I'm just kidding. It's
God.
it's the Heineken.
I thought it would be a stein.
It could be a stein.
A stein of beer.
Stein
Uh-huh.
would be good.
Heineken.
I like
Lord.
wooden shoes better.
Well,
Put a little tap things
Yeah.
on them. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So that's your racing.
Who was
There you
it
go.
that put his finger in the dike and plugged up the hole?
Little Boy Blue? No,
No.
because he needed the money. I don't know. Look.
Hey, don't get me started.
I know.
I'll go down that wrong road
I will
right
be laughing
there.
so hard I cry. When
All
Jason
right.
does it, I cry.
Time now for the Auto History Report by Michael J.
dun,
Mars.
Michael J.
What is it?
Michael A.
Michael A.
Hey, Jay.
I like
whatever.
Michael J.
All right, this week on August the 18th, back in 1904, the Cadillac Automobile Company was founded in Detroit, Michigan.
You were there, Jeff.
Yeah, we're just going to leave the shot up the whole rest of the show.
Yeah. And I did not realize this, but that actually Henry Ford got into an issue with some of his investors and decided he was going to get out of that part. So the investors took that part of the company and they got
What
with
part of the what?
the Ford Motor Company that he had at the time.
Yes.
And they actually took that and got with Henry Leland, who actually brought that company, and that's how it actually became the Cadillac company. And he was a machinist, so he's the one that ended up taking it over. And one of the big things that Cadillac did, besides being known for fit and finish, because he's a machinist, so everything had to be very precision, and that carried on into their level of quality that they have this day. And one of the things they did, I did not know this, but they introduced the first electric starter in 1912. Got rid of the hand crank. It was a Cadillac thing that they did.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the 1912 models right there. Then on August the 19th in 1909, they had the first race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, this was not the Indianapolis 500. This was several races that happened before that, and the track was really a dirt track. And it caused a lot of problems, a lot of crashes. There was a lot of people got killed, 2 drivers, 2 mechanics, and 2 spectators got killed in one race. So that's when they decided to fix the track, and that's when they laid the bricks on top of it, and hence it became the Brickyard from there.
I'll be darned.
August 21st, 2002, the last Ford Escort rolled off the assembly line.
I was going to say Escort Go.
Yeah.
It's a slow car.
So I did not realize it. They sold over 20 million of those units across 6 generations under that nameplate. Of course, some of them in Europe were a little bit different, but it was actually created to replace the Ford Pinto after it blew up and stopped the world and caused all those issues. And it actually was one of the helped begin the compact cars market. Then on August the 23rd in 1989 is when Toyota introduced the Lexus brand. I didn't realize it. It just seems like Lexus has been here forever.
Nope.
And their first vehicle was a 4-door sedan, an LS400.
It still is a good-looking car.
It really is. I mean, it looks like an executive type level car.
Well, it is. It was.
They spent $1 billion getting this thing started.
Wow.
And so it's quickly become known for its reputation of excellent build quality. And that is this week in automotive history.
Well, I wanted more.
Well,
Don't
tune in
end it
next
yet.
week.
Tune in next week for
There you
more.
go.
there you go.
Let's see. Let's do some headlines, shall we?
All right.
Got a couple of recalls to tell you about. One is Continental Tire. And we don't have a car matched to this, but if you have GX Pro Contact GX AO tires, size 255/35 R19. The design of the tire may cause excessive heat buildup, resulting in belt separation and a crash.
That's not good.
No. So if you got Continental tires, go and see if it's Pro Contact GX AO, and chances are it's going to be recalled.
They're going to send you a letter if it's been registered properly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see other recalls. Obstructed tail lights on the Jeep Wrangler for 2024, probably because of the spare tire hanging on the back end of it. That'd be my guess.
Wow.
BMW recalling 720,796 vehicles in the U.S. over concerns of a short circuit. An improperly sealed electrical connector on the water pump may be exposed to water and short circuit. Recall includes some crossovers, including the X1 and X5, along with some 5 Series sedans, among other models. Now here's a whole litany of them. Insufficient welds on the child seat tethers, Jeep Grand Cherokee 2024. Lexus UX Hybrid for 2025, loss of drive power from damaged wiring harness. Ow.
That's not good.
Cadillac Lyric 2324, loss of brakes from unexpected ABS activation. Loss of drive power from undetected low battery, Ford Maverick 2022. Steering column assembled with incorrect bolt on the Ford Transit 2023 to 24 model.
What would... never mind.
I need one
I'm
of
not
these.
even going to ask
Can
that
you run down to
question.
Home Depot and get me like 10,000 of these?
Incorrectly routed brake hose may leak on the Mercedes-Benz AMG GLB 35 for 2024. Here's Ford again. Ford Mustang 2024, rear suspension knuckles may fail. Honey, I
could be
think
a
we
problem.
lost that tire that's going past the car here.
Wouldn't they already?
Windshield wiper motor may fail on the Ford Bronco Sport, Maverick, Mustang Mach-E 23-24 models. Power windows may pinch. Ford Ranger, Ford Lincoln Nautilus 24 model. Engine failure may cause a fire. Ford Explorer, or should we say Exploder, 2020 to 22 models. All of those are recalls.
Thermal event.
God. Ford, they want to sell cars, and for the most part, they build an affordable car. For the most part. But, dude, the recalls, are you serious? Who does this? Where's quality control here?
That's.
Did they lay them off with all the other millions of people that they laid
all
off?
the salary people are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Golly, just every week it's a Ford something or another. All right.
It is.
Speaking of Ford, as recently as last year, Ford Motor Company's electric vehicle strategy seemed clear. Quickly expand production of hot-selling early offerings while launching second-generation models, such as three-row crossover and full-size pickups, and most importantly, make money doing it. Today, meaning yesterday, that part of Ford's business is falling deeper into the red. 2/3 of the jobs at the Detroit area plant building F-150 Lightning have been cut. The three-row crossover is dead. And the automaker's next consumer-oriented EVs won't reach dealership showrooms for at least 3 more years.
Wow.
How's that working out for you? Ford will now focus its efforts on hybrids, as well as a flexible EV platform it will use to introduce a midsize pickup in 2027. Sound familiar, GM? Mm-hmm. Platform developed in California under the leadership of former Tesla engineers also is expected to underpin small electric crossovers. Company pushed back production of its next-gen full-size pickup for the second time this year, now to late 2027. Ford's change in direction will be costly. The automaker on August 21st said the shift could cost up to $1.9 billion, including a $400 million non-cash charge related to canceling the three-row electric crossovers that it most recently had planned to build at Oakville Assembly in Ontario, Canada. Wall Street investors remain bullish, however, despite the short-term profit reduction. Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't understand it. I don't get it. We sit here and talk about the auto industry all the time, but things like this make you go, man, this is very reminiscent to me of the manufacturer going bankrupt, and most recently Chrysler. Remember, they had to have the government bail out, otherwise the company was going to go belly
General
up.
Motors too.
All of them. Mm-hmm. It keeps on going.
It does, and part of the problem is because they're so big, and I'm going to relate this to the company I worked for. We sat down one time, we figured out that...
What company was that?
The phone company.
Southwestern Bell?
That's where it started. But we figured out that by the time we got to the national organization, got up to the AT&T, we figured out at the time that they could stop collecting bills. People could stop paying their phone bill. And literally, it would take almost 3 years for them, for all the process and stuff to
catch
figure
up.
out. Yeah, that they're broke.
Jeez. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Wow. Just shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for a quick break. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, streaming and podcasting around the planet. Look for us from your favorite podcast provider.
Pro-Am Auto Accessories has been serving Houston's auto enthusiasts since 1984, providing world-class products for sports cars, European sedans, and American muscle. Pro-Am is known as the place to go to find exclusive and hard-to-find parts and accessories. Pro-Am is one of the very first distributors in the USA for brands such as Recaro, Redline, Momo, Corbo, and Simpson. Located in the heart of Houston's premier retail and service corridor, the Galleria area, Pro-Am's walk-in storefront includes an 8,000-square-foot warehouse, showroom, and installation bays. Pro-Am not only sells parts and accessories, but also offers installation and service. Pro-Am is now reaching a worldwide audience through Pro-Am.com, taking its local reputation to the rest of the world. At Pro-Am Auto, you'll be dealing with a small group of professionals who truly want to help you with your automotive needs. If you don't see what you're looking for on the website, call and Pro-Am will lend you a hand. Pro-Am Auto, 6125 Richmond at Green Ridge in Houston's Galleria area. Call them at 713-781-7755. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show brings you great guest interviews each week from manufacturers and suppliers to the aftermarket, racers, enthusiasts, and other friends just like you and me who love to talk about all things automotive. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show takes it to the road, too, with remotes at Tailpipes and Tacos, Woody's Waterfront Car Show, and the Hemi Hideout. In Wheel Time's live video and audio stream can be found on the iHeartRadio app, YouTube, Facebook, and InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon Central Time, or grab a podcast anytime from your favorite podcast provider. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.